О.
Alright, not bad. At least it's not a half-six. You can call this setup the spare and the emptiness. We pondered long and hard about what to put here, and here's what we got. It's a half-eighths wet dream for a manual engine. In this setup, two pistons move simultaneously in the middle, and to balance the imbalance, they've slapped in two balancing shafts to dampen the vibes. Initially, the engines were chopped from power plants 1 and 3, but realizing that wasn't cutting it, they went for 8-cylinder halfers. The volume bumped up to 750 cubic inches, power hitting 33 horses, and it cranks out 52 Newton meters. The torque suits this 2000 model straight out of Tatarstan, in Russia. RM and the engine's unique construction couldn't hang it on either a new giron or a beam, so they had to create a subframe to set it crosswise. Engine, gearbox, and driveshafts like the good old days. Hey, awesome viewers! If you love our content, hit subscribe and ring the bell for the latest releases. Join our Patreon for a deeper connection, unlocking exclusive perks and fueling our passion for diverse content. Patreon goes beyond supporting, you're a vital part of our creative journey with exciting rewards, from exclusive content to personalized interactions. Enhance your experience by subscribing to our Boosty channel for extra perks. Your support inspires us to push boundaries and create resonating content. Subscribe, hit the bell, and explore Patreon and Boosty for an enriched experience. Thanks for being indispensable to our community. A little ride. We're pretty skeptical about this, but using its creation as an example, you can understand how intertwined design bureaus and plants were in the USSR. You can't argue much with the small class on this. You can't argue that the OKA was a damn successful car for its time. It was worked on at VAZ, NAMI, VAZ, and even at ZAZ. If we simplify it, they practically all started independently, then projects converged and diverged. One project transformed into another, a VAC. But many of their decisions unite them. Today's correction. The first industrial conveyor, if you will, microcompact, saw the light in 1988. Although the tight work of VAZ-1111 and Serpukovite started in 1982. An interesting fact from the VAZ prototype, like VAZ-1111, only the configuration of the rear wheel arches remains in appearance, only the name remains from the Serpukov prototype. The concept is cheap, very cheap, hyper cheap, but for it to be comfortable, it sounds like pushing the impossible. But back then, the comfort criteria were different. The main car had to be cheap to produce and technologically advanced. How to achieve that? Simply, standardization in everything, and, naturally, with VAZ. You had plenty of counterparts, they didn't care where to send the parts. Interesting fact, these handles first appeared on VAZ-2108 prototypes. Look for photos online. Anyone who says VAZ isn't comfortable hasn't sat in one. It's more comfortable to sit in here than in any other domestic car. And you know why? Because doctors and orthopedists put their hands into creating the car. Well, and of course, for disabled folks, because the car was created for them too. So you understand the whole tragic moment. Length 3,200 millimeters, width 1,400 millimeters, height 1,400, body stamped panels. And the interior? Kopak, Pyaturka, and emptiness. Surprisingly, there's plenty of space. Configuration absence of anything. A survival kit. Affordable interior finishes, once again, a necessary measure. Savings all around. But the windows, just what you need. The trunk, a massive gap. True, a big gap with a volume of 210 liters. You can fold the seats, over 630, but liters, not kilograms 340. It might even carry the driver. Not wide on anything, but deep. You can literally pour screws straight through here. This is something you can only see in Russia when attaching mudguards. Safety, inertia-free seatbelts. Like a tie, as on ancient Kopaks. But at least you'll sit behind the wheel feeling alive. You know what I mean? I like the quality of the dashboard. It's really well made. It flexes and feeds off the trim level. Really a bum. No mirrors, no ashtray, nothing. Or maybe that's how it should be. They say there were fewer KAMAZ trucks than SIZAV and VAZ. Maybe I'm mistaken. Well, velour trim, leather seats, it's normal. Well. Okay. The insane stool starts if you floor the pedal. The crazy engine roars as if it will death is coming soon. But with just an empty choke box, it accelerates quite confidently, and the curb weight with my Canon is around 900 kilograms. The front suspension is independent, like a swinging candle or McPherson, assembled together with the power unit and steering on a subframe. Disc brakes and behind the steering rack. The car is easy to handle and very stable. The car underwent testing by a professional tester who tried to tip it over. But he couldn't do it the first time. I have a bit of money or iron, and those who have ridden know that when braking, as always, it docks smoothly. And when coming out of turns, it returns to straight. But this is just a miracle. Acceleration to 100, 20, and eternity. Consumption 5 on the highway, 6.7 in the city. And what about off-road capability? All behind the ground clearance of 120 millimeters. That's the subframe's battlefield, of course, with the low weight. The rear suspension, logically, 8-bit, just downsized. I'll remind you, VAZ acquired the license for it from Volkswagen. Constructors get 5+ for the suspension. I'm not a lightweight boy. I got into the car, but it didn't fall onto its left side. This means that I will enter turns the same way. Even if the car is equipped with butts and a little more stuffed into the trunk, it will certainly sit down, but it will be unshakable. Do you think I'm shouting in excitement? No, because it's funny. Soundproofing is that which is wrapped around. And your body, well, someone constantly tries to hit the rear axle at any point. Three factories produced the OKA, VAZ, ZMA, and SIAZ. SIAZ remained in the game the longest as they concurrently equipped cars with control systems for people with disabilities. In 2006, the car was discontinued and left to languish. -€2 standard and a lack of funds for modernization played a role. And what about the drawback? There are plenty, but all of them are minor and fixable DIY. You might ask, what about safety? Life, in general, is risky, my friends. Surprisingly, today big cities need such cars, small and economical. In short, OKA, come back as soon as possible, but only in an updated form. We miss you so much.